fake deed for a fraud like you. That's my home. You'll regret this.
You know, I still get chills thinking about that day in Willow Creek. Our little suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago. Picture those cookie-cutter houses with manicured lawns. The kind where everyone waves, but nobody really knows each other's secrets. And there I was, Elena Ramirez, standing in the community center, feeling like I'd stepped into some twisted reality show where the stakes were my whole damn life. It started with Karen Thompson, the HOA president who'd been ruling this place like her personal kingdom for years, eyeing me like I was dirt on her pristine driveway. And before I knew it, she had my property deed in her hands, striking a match right there in front of everyone, watching it curl and blacken as if burning away my right to even exist in her perfect little world. Man, the smoke stung my eyes, but what burned deeper was the way she smirked, like she'd finally won some invisible war she'd been waging since the day I moved, and all because, let's be real, I didn't fit her idea of who belonged in Willow Creek, with my brown skin and that quiet confidence that seemed to rattle her fragile ego. It wasn't just random hate. Thuff no. Karen had her reasons, twisted as they were. She'd been whispering for months about how new folks like me were driving down property values, how my house with its colorful garden clashed with the neighborhood's beige uniformity. But deep down, it was about control, about her clinging to that HOA power she'd built by bullying families into submission, finding them for every stray leaf or unpainted fence, and yeah, maybe a dash of jealousy because I'd fixed up my place nicer than hers without kissing up to her endless rules. There we were at the monthly HOA meeting, the room packed with neighbors, some sipping coffee, others scrolling phones, a few kids fidgeting in the back, and Karen calls me up to the front, her voice dripping with that fake politeness. "Elena, honey, we've got concerns about your paperwork. Looks a bit off, doesn't it? Like something you picked up at a flea market." I handed over my deed, thinking it'd shut her up, but she flips through it, her eyes narrowing, and mutters loud enough for everyone to hear. "This seal's all wrong, cheap ink, probably forged to sneak in here and ruin our community standards." Before I could even blink, she pulls out a lighter from her purse, yeah, one of those fancy engraved ones her husband got her for their anniversary, and flicks it alive, holding my deed over the metal trash can by the podium, the flame licking the edges as the paper starts to bubble and smoke curls up like a bad omen. The room went dead silent at first, then gasps rippled through. Phones whipping out. Young Jake from down the street starts live streaming on his phone, his voice shaky but excited. "Guys, HOA Prez is burning someone's deed right now. This is nuts." And Karen, oh, she savored it, locking eyes with me. "Pick up your mess. Sweetie, on your knees where you belong. We don't tolerate frauds in Willow Creek." My heart pounded, not from fear exactly, but from this raw humiliation washing over my years of hard work, saving for that house after scraping by in the city, all turning to ash because she decided I didn't look right for the neighborhood. I knelt to grab the scattered bits, my bag slipping a little, but I kept my cool, breathing steady, reminding myself this wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. Inside that bag was my real shield, my HUD inspector badge, tucked away for the undercover op I'd been running on places just like this, where HOA tyrants like Karen manipulated rules to keep out anyone who didn't match their white picket fence fantasy. Smoke triggered the sprinklers faintly, but Karen waves off the maintenance guy, just handling trash, nothing to see. Her voice booming with that false authority she'd wielded for too long, built on years of unchallenged power plays, finding black and brown families extra, delaying approvals for their home improvements, all while her cronies got passes. Neighbors started murmuring, some nodding along like that pearl-clutching lady in the front row. "Good on you, Karen. These scammers are bold nowadays." But others, the younger crowd, were furious. Jake's stream blowing up to thousands of viewers, comments flying in like, "Call the cops. That's destruction of property. And this screams racism. Get the feds." My phone buzzed in my pocket. DC headquarters. Urgent, but I let it ring, watching the last bits of my deed char, the official stamps melting into nothing, years of legitimate ownership reduced to flakes on the linoleum floor. Karen pokes at the ashes with her pen. "See? Burns too easy. Fake stuff always does. You're probably squatting, trying to flip this place and tank our values." I offered calmly. "I can verify through the county system. But she snorts, "System's glitchy today. Besides, frauds like you have fake everything. Next you'll pull out a phony driver's license." That's when security, the neighborhood watch guy, Mike, shows up, drawn by the crowd, and immediately sides with Karen. "Ma'am, bringing fakes to a community meeting? That's trespassing." He eyes the ashes, assuming I'm the crook, while my phone buzzes again, federal marshals this time, but I stay put, hands visible, my bag shifting just enough to hint at the chain on my badge. The HOA vice president, Janet, rushes in, her face twisted in that mix of annoyance and superiority, surveying the mess smoldering trash can, growing crowd, phones everywhere, and demands, "Karen." "What on earth?" Karen puffs up, caught a fraud red-handed. "Disposed of the evidence per our bylaws protecting our property values from outsiders." Janet turns to me with disdain. "Attempting fraud in Willow Creek is a serious violation. We'll have to escort you out pending review." My phone rings again, that distinct federal tone cutting through, but Janet snaps. "No calls for suspects. You lost privileges when you tried to scam us." The meeting timer ticks down, votes on new rules in 30 minutes, but I'm watching my identity in that community dissolve. The deed's official HUD notations now indistinguishable ash, while Karen basks, announcing to the room, "It's the sneaky ones who pull the biggest cons. Good thing I've got eyes for fakes after 15 years running this ship." Deep inside, though, I felt this quiet fire building, not rage, but resolve, because this was exactly why I took the job at HUD. To root out these subtle power grabs where folks like Karen used HOA rules as weapons, born from her own insecurities after her divorce left her clinging to this role like a lifeline, manipulating fees to fund her lifestyle, while pricing out families who reminded her of her own struggles. More neighbors pile in, the room buzzing now, Mike forming a circle around me with his buddies, all assuming I'm the threat, but my bag shifts again, the gold eagle on my badge catching the light. Someone notices, "What's that shiny thing?" And Karen jumps. More fakes, probably a whole stash. The live stream hits 200,000 views, hashtags like deed burning and HOA racism trending, comments demanding investigations. Then the community manager, Tom, storms in, following the smoke smell. "What the hell's burning in my center?" Janet reports slickly, "Fraud docs disposed. This woman's trying to infiltrate with phony ownership." Tom peers at the ashes, spotting fragments of real seals, muttering, "These look legit detailed watermarks." But Karen doubles down. "High-end fakes. That's how they trick us." My phone's federal alert tone rings louder. A military vet in the crowd perks up. "That's government issue. I know those sounds from my days in service." Karen counters desperately. "Stolen tech. Part of her scheme to undermine our community." Captain of the local volunteer fire crew shows up, puzzled by the delay. Reports from the stream. "Why burn docs? Real or fake? That's not protocol." I finally speak up, even-toned. "All paper burns the same under flame. Certoisn't prove a thing." He studies me. My comm throwing him off for a fraud. As the timer clicks to 20 minutes. My bag's fully shifted now, badge visible, and security gal Jennifer asks, "Ma'am, what's that credential?" Karen declares, "Fake IDs galore, bust her." But Tom reaches, "We'll check everything." And I say softly, "I'd rather handle it myself." Janet snaps, "Criminals don't get choices." The stream's at 400,000, the world watching as I reach into my bag with deliberate slowness, pulling out my leather wallet, placing it on the podium next to the ashes, the gold HUD eagle gleaming under the fluorescence. I open it, and there it is, Elena Ramirez, Chief Inspector, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Fair Housing Enforcement Division. The room sucks in a collective breath, Karen's pen clattering down, her face paling like she'd seen a ghost, whispering, That can't be." As I lay out my enforcement authorization, the seal matching the melted one in the trash. "Chief Inspector Ramirez, HUD Criminal Investigation." I say quietly, badge number 5284, authority under Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act. Tom's hands shake, verifying the holograms. The signatures real as they come, powers broad enough to shut down whole operations. "You're federal," he breathes, and I correct. "Chief Inspector, and you just let your president destroy federal evidence in an active undercover probe into HOA discrimination." Janet grabs it, hunting for flaws. but it's ironclad me photo staring back, unyielding. This must be forged too, she stammers, but I pull my tablet, accessing the federal database. Verify via the Fair Housing Act Portal Commission FAA 892322025. Mike steps up, apologetic. Ma'am, sorry for the mix-up. I nod. You did your job but a mess. Thompson committed felonies on live video, seen by 500,000. Karen stares at the ashes, the deed she torched thinking it was my ticket out. Now her undoing. I didn't know. It looked suspicious, the printing off. I start noting. Karen Thompson, HOA ID 7714, destroyed federal property at 10:17 a.m. Evidence in trash. 150 witnesses, streams over 500K on TikTok, Facebook. The fire captain asks, how can we help, Inspector? Secure the scene. That ash is evidence now. Jake's stream explodes to 600K. Comments like, she's fed. Burned an inspector's deed, federal crime live. My phone rings, I answer. Ramirez, her eyes. Op on track, destruction as predicted. Full vid from angles. Pause. Understood. Director response team ETA 8 minutes. Tom's pale, federal team. I continue. Textbook case, max evidence. Karen slumps, whispering. It had to be fake the way she moved in, changing things, threatening our way of life. I turn. Legit docs look legit because they are no difference from any valid deed. Janet distances. This wasn't board approved or rogue act. I kneel, bagging ash. Federal law doesn't care about approval. 18 U.S.C. 1361, destruction of government property, up to 10 years, $250,000 fine. I photo the mess, melted seals, scattered flakes, stream screenshots. With it targeting a fair housing probe, guidelines push max penalty plus obstruction under 18 U.S.C. 1505, 5 years each. The crowd absorbs, realizing a Fed's docs were torched by their HOA boss in a live broadcast hate act. What probe? Mike asks respectfully. Patterns of HOA bias in suburban gating dock challenges based on looks, not facts, to exclude minorities. The irony hits. Karen's racism-led burn provided prime evidence for the very discrimination I was investigating. Her motives rooted in personal loss, using HOA to rebuild her shattered self-worth by controlling who belonged. Tom checks my creds again, hoping fake, but no, devastatingly real. Detain Ms. Thompson pending charges. I announce destruction, interference, obstruction, civil rights violations. Karen's covered in ash, evidence on her skirt. My phone. Marshall's ETA 6 minutes. Advise cooperation. Streams watch the flip. The humiliated fraud now commands, her authority intact. Marshals arrive, boots echoing. Deputy Santos. Inspector Ramirez, warrant ready. I point to Karen. HOA exec Patricia Hayes bursts in, suit rumpled from the chopper rush, lawyers trailing. Legal exposure, she demands of Tom. I pull statutes. 18 U.S.C. 1361. Employee destruction 10 years, $250,000. Corporate vicarious liability up to $50 million. Patricia blanches, $50 million? That's criminal civil under 42 U.S.C. 1983 unlimited. Contract breaches could revoke HOA charters in 47 communities. Lawyers crunch. Annual dues $28 million. Suspension costs $8 million monthly. I add, your HOA handles 2.3K residents yearly. Hear each bias case, $1 to $2 million precedent. Thompson's file. 17 prior complaints on minority fines, all ignored. Tom shakes. We had reports. 17 over 14 months. All minorities, dismissed. Deliberate indifference. Patricia scans files. Horror. Growing complaints of extra scrutiny. Biased language. Filed away. Prosecutors arrive, led by AUSA David Lee. I brief. 19 vid sources, 800K viewers. Ash secured. 17 priors for pattern. Lee eyes evidence. Prosecutorial dream crime against Fed and rights probe. Live with board knowledge. Patricia pleads. We'll cooperate. Fire her. Train everyone. I counter. Termination doesn't halt charges. Felony proceeds. Marshals cuff Karen. Ash clinging. I didn't know. Real. Lee. Ignorance no defense. I to Patricia. HOA under review. Monday. Monitoring pending. Her team calculates. Monitoring $2.3 million monthly per site. Review 18 to 24 months. Stock affiliates down 12% from viral. I show regs. Part 100 allows charter suspension for crimes in resident processing, covers 847 units across states. Numbers hit. Daily revenue lost $2.8 thousand per unit. Fines $125,000 per incident. Defense $15 million. What to minimize? Patricia begs. Install bias monitors at all 127 meetings. $3.2 million. Train 2,847 members. $1.8 million yearly. Fed officer $350,000. AI software $4.7 million. Audits $180,000 monthly. Victim fund $10 million. Total first year $23 million plus. Criminals separate these fixed civil contracts. Marshals read rights as cameras roll. Right to silence. Patricia sees assault on Fed angle extra penalties. The showdown ends. I document liability from individual crime to systemic bias. Willow Creek faces years oversight, millions costs. Prosecutions reshaping HOA rights enforcement. Justice measured in change, not revenge, backed by Fed power, accountability. 3 months later, Federal Court, Chicago. Judge Margaret Ellis gavels. Thompson, guilty plea to 18 U.S.C. 136136 months prison, 2 years probation. Karen in jumpsuit nods teary, ashes now exhibits. Attack on Fed authority in rights probe court won't tolerate. Illenum watches satisfied. My new deed in briefcase, untouched by hate. Outside, Lee announces, message clear, targeting Fed investigators has consequences. D.O. Dwight, HUD, HQ-DC. Secretary Maria Santos signs Fair Housing Enhancement Act. I stand by as CAM's role. Requires real-time bias monitoring in all HOAs. AI systems detect discrimination, intervene. Law mandates changes. Airports wait. HOAs install tech in 18 months. My specs. Monitors voice, body lang, interaction, time flags, bias deviations. HOAs comply or lose charters. Burn deed cost industry impunity. Willow Creek, gate renovated. Tom now Fed compliance DJAR, office overlooking meeting room. Plaque, equal housing under law. Digital displays bias stats. Reps wear cams to HUD servers. 2,847 interactions daily. AI cut complaints 89% in 3 months. Training monthly. Jake, streamer, now Fed ambassador, trains youth on docking bias. Video viewed 47 bystanders create accountability. My HUD office frames burn deed fragment reminder discrimination hits anyone. New title, Director Fair Housing Enforcement. Team 47 investigators, funding $23 audits every major HOA. 1,247 incidents documented. $127 fines. Investments. Burned deed catalyzed transformation. HOA's model compliance under surveillance. Invested $47 million in tech, costs $2.8 million yearly, but liability gone. Industry lesson, bias destroys value overnight. Brenda Karen's conviction cost hundreds millions in investments, but erased decades-old discrimination. Tech, AI partners develop systems, analyzes variables, flags minority diffs. Prevents escalation real-time, stops bias at source. Airlines HOAs report better satisfaction when equal. Precedent. USV. Thompson cited 73 cases, enhances Fed protection. Compensation. I directed $2.3 million to education fund bias training schools, communities. My deed burned, but authority intact. Incidents catalyze change when documented. Schools study Willow Creek in civics MECOM model for legal response. Results. Complaints down 73% in 6 months. Investments improved efficiency, equal treatment speeds processes. Global. EU adopts HOA-like monitoring. UN notes. Individual dignity triggers reform. Burned photo in UN pubs, how pressure dignity transforms injustice. Deeper. Professional excellence trumps hate. My methodoc evidence. Stay composed. Use power changed millions. Burned backfired elevated me. Protected others. Discrimination lingers in neighborhoods, services, offices, but documentation creates accountability. Witnessed bias in your HOA or community. Your evidence could stop it. Document safely, focus on behavior. Report to HUD, DOJ. Support training locally. Subscribe for more stories of overcoming prejudice through smarts. Prep, authority. Hit notifications. Join community, transforming bias. Share this, raise awareness on rights protections. Your share teaches discrimination has consequences when reported. Together, ensure my burned deeds the last identity destroyed by hate. Change via channels addresses injustice systematically. Comment, seen bias in housing or service. Your story spots patterns for intervention. The ashes birthed revolution, let's keep it burning bright.